How y'all doing? So this is how it is working with Joy, by the way. We make these serious-ass movies and shows, and she just laughs all the damn time. But I asked Joy to introduce me because I wanted y'all to meet her. I wanted y'all to meet her as the director of these projects. As the director of these projects, I always feel I get too much credit. We were nominated for 7 Emmys, and Joy was not, despite cutting half of this 10-hour show. So I wanted y'all to meet her so y'all could see how blessed I am to get to come to work every day, and see this beautiful smile that reminds me of so many of the strong women in my past, in my present, in my future. Joy, I love you. We went to undergrad together, and she didn't like me at first. She didn't like me at first, man. The first semester, man, I sat down next to her. She didn't like me at first. But I told her, you coming with me, you coming with me. And 20 years later, I remember I was sitting, I'm gonna tell a story about it. I was sitting in that back corner back there when we won the WGA for original screenplay for Moonlight, which nobody thought we were gonna win. And I turned to my left, and there was Joy. And I just fell into her, and I said, you know what, I'm home. I've always been home since Tallahassee, Florida, so thank you, my dear. I want to thank the Critics' Choice Association for this wonderful distinction, especially Joey Berlin, for recognizing that Critics' Choice had the breadth to have a night like this and a night like the Latino night that's coming up and the superhero night that happened a while ago. I want to also thank Clayton Davis and Sean Edwards for always pounding the pavement for folks who look like us, because again, there are so many folks outside this room right now who deserve this stage, and I love the work y'all have been doing for the last 5 years, making sure there's a place in a room like this for folks like us. So I was telling this story, man. So I had been watching this show called House Hunters International. It was like my guilty pleasure, and there was an episode set in Merida, Mexico. This sister had flipped a house there. It looked gorgeous. I was like, you know what? I'm going there. So I booked the ticket before the Oscars, and then happened at the Oscars with the envelope, and I was like, thank God, I need to get the hell out of here. So I flew from LA to Miami, then from Miami to the Yucatan. A 90-minute flight from Miami, Florida, where I grew up, where Moonlight is set. I get there, and the guy tells me, yo, they got pyramids here. I'm like, there's pyramids here? 90 minutes from the projects I grew up in? He's like, yes, I'm in a place that at that time the president is referring to as a whole country. I go to these pyramids. I learn about the Mayans. I learn about the people who created the only written language ever to originate in the Americas. They built pyramids 200 AD, 300 AD. The pyramids are still there. Climate change, famine, all these things, the civilization passed away, the structures were still there. 500 years later, 1562, what happens? Diego de Landa, remember this word, Diego de Landa shows up, and he's like, yo, what are these savages? And the people tell him, he learns they have books. He finds all the books, the only written language ever to originate in the history of the Americas, talking about astronomy, farming, all different kinds of technology. What does he do with the books, y'all? He burns them. He burns them all. What does he do next? He writes his own history of the Mayan people, his interpretation of their lives as savages, as heathens. For 400 years, the world is using Diego de Landa's interpretation of the only people to originate a written language in the history of the Americas. I say that to say we have to tell our stories, because in this country, our stories have been told for so long by people who do not look like us, for people who do not believe our ancestors are responsible for the greatest act of collective parenting the world has ever seen. So all of us in here telling these narratives, creating fiction, we have to continue to tell our stories. I have this one little thing. It's not a big-ass speech. I got one little quote I want to read from the just glorious June Jordan. To tell the truth is to become beautiful, to begin to love yourself, to value yourself, and that's political in its most profound way. Thank you for the political act of recognizing the Underground Railroad. And hey, I've been listening to Luther Vandross a lot, and I'm not gonna sing it, Joy. I've been singing it, Joy, a house is not a home. But the line when Luther says, and I'm gonna read it so I get it right, a house is not a home when there's no one there to hold you tight. Thank you for this night honoring Black creators telling Black stories. We all felt held tight. I appreciate you. Sean, I don't know where you are, but I appreciate you, bro. Thank y'all. Much love, much thanks, much peace.